action.
All right, guys, welcome to the channel today. What we're going to do on this is we're going to fit this hood on there. So we've got fenders that we don't have any sheet metal inside this truck anymore underneath the hood. So the fender wells are gone. We just have the bare sheet metal of the actual fender itself. So we got a couple mounts in here that we welded in, but it's just a Zeus fastener that's attached right there. We've got it actually clamped down here. We've started to put a Zeus down there. We think we're going to move it down, and we need to really put a Zeus right here because the door is wanting to catch right here. It's kind of chipped the paint a little bit. But to be able to do this is we're going to put this L bracket, these hood mount brackets, and we're going to notch out the fiberglass just right on the edge right there. And then what we've got is we've got a little bitty spacer in the front to kind of keep our gap. And then what we're going to do is we actually have a clamp underneath here that's holding this together. So we kind of got our body line right there at the height it needs to be. And then what we're doing is we kind of had to bend these a little bit to make them lay down flat because that hood's kind of at a little bit of an angle coming into that fender. And then what we're going to do is basically put our reference marks there. We're going to space these out evenly, and we're going to put our reference marks through these holes right here so we can transfer it. And that way when we put our self-eject Zeus, which was around here somewhere.
It's down on the cross member. Right to your right.
Nope. I was looking for the black one. Anyways, there's a self-eject Zeus that we'll probably end up putting up here. And you got to have the holes of that self-eject Zeus. So when you rivet it in there, it's got to fit through these holes. Otherwise, the actual rivet itself is going to hit on this bracket itself. So that pretty much gets our spacing where we need to. Now, once we get these holes located, and we get this spacing figured out here, what we'll do is we'll drop these down on the fender. We'll put a center line here on each one of these on the outside, and then we'll be able to drop that down and actually rivet it to the inside of this fender lip here. So that gives us our spacing right there. And then from there, we can actually push the hood over a little bit. We put a reference mark over here, and there's probably maybe a 1/4 inch this side of that reference mark. So, but we measured off the corner. We actually made a mark here right on the corner of the windshield there, right as it started to turn. So that mark over to the hood, and then we have a center line over here, if you want to give me that. Let's see. So if you look down here, look down that seam, the hood is actually tapered at the back, so it's actually kicked out at the back. We started to put a spacer back there, but what happens is it's actually sticking out more in the back, so that body line was going to be really wide in there, so we kind of narrowed it up a little bit. Then what we've got is we've got this center line here, and if you drop a plumb down here, I think this has got to go over just a tad, probably to the right. And then if you look at this side, we've got this huge gap over here, but really this fender here is going to have to move in just a little bit. So it's actually going to move in a little bit, and so that'll kind of tighten it up a little bit. So, but once we get the one side set up, and you can see it's right flush in the front there, and then underneath we've got the bar that we've got up underneath there that's going down, and it's going to go to the bottom frame cross member down there, bottom part of the frame, and we're going to put a 5/8 stud in the bottom right there, stub coming out, and actually this is a 3/4 inch tube that's going to fit on top of that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to probably just put a pin, quick release pin going through that, so the stub will be sticking out, you know, an inch or so, and this will basically hold it in there. And we'll have a crossbar that goes all the way across underneath the hood right there, and goes to the other side. So that's kind of what we're working on today. That front end's really been a bunch of work. That's not been fun to try to do that, has it, Gary?
No, it's very thought-provoking, I guess I would say.
So it's a lot of this stuff right here. The thing about a lot of this stuff is you really have to figure, because you don't have anything factory that's on this truck anymore. So when you're trying to build something like this, you've got aftermarket, you know, brakes and rotors and wheels, and you got the truck that's really low to the ground. Like right now, that front end's dropped way down. But everything, all the geometry changes. So you got a rack and pinion out of a Mustang 2 or Pinto or whatever it is. It's a manual rack. Yeah, different end links on it and everything. So everything changes. So anyways, it's coming together, but that's starting to look good. we're going to be really happy once we get this front end where we can actually start laying turbos in and start figuring out everything else. But the problem is, until we get this really situated, you know, if you're off by ½ inch or ¼ inch, a lot of times, because that's the other thing with this fender, we got to get the turbo outlet coming out here. So we couldn't really have any cross braces underneath there to support that. So we're really tucking that piece in there. So anyways, let us know what you think about that. Just an update on the truck. We're going to try to do some more these more often, and hopefully you guys like it. Keep in mind, this is a small block Ford going in this Chevy, so a lot of guys, they see that as pretty different. Gary and I got tired of seeing all the LS Chevy motors and all the Fox bodies, so we decided to do something a little bit different. All right, stay tuned, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and share it, and let us know what you think.